A report by University of Otago researchers is casting doubt over the judicial system. In particular, it raises serious concerns about a new law around preventative detention. Associate Professor Colin Gavaghan is one of the authors of the report, and he's here to explain. Good evening, Colin.
Good evening, Rebecca.
Now, what is the report about?
The report is looking at the trend towards preventive justice in New Zealand, and in particular we're looking at this new piece of law that was enacted last week, the Public Protection Act.
Okay, now why is that a subject of interest?
Subject of interest. Traditional criminal law tends to punish people or look to punish people on the basis of crimes they are proved to have committed. The preventive trend is a very different thing. It's looking at what people might do in the future and to take steps to prevent crimes really before they happen. So what this new law will do is to empower the High Court, when someone reaches the end of their criminal sentence, instead of being released back into the community, the High Court will be able to pass an order that means they can be kept locked up. Not necessarily in a prison, but perhaps on prison grounds, on the basis of what we think they might do in future.
What does the report tell us?
The report tells us that this is, for one thing, it's a pretty big step for a society like ours to take, but it's not the first step we've taken on this road towards preventive justice. The last kind of decade and a half have seen quite a few steps enacted. So we've had, for example, supervision orders that can be placed on criminals at the end of their sentence when they're being released. We've also, of course, seen steps towards suspected terrorists who've not actually been convicted of anything. We also found that New Zealand is by no means the first country to have gone down this road, that certain states in both the US and Australia have done similar things. Why is it a concern then? It's a concern because some of the things we discovered from Australia, there are concerns that are practical and there are concerns that are principled. So the practical concerns are there are real doubts as to whether this has really done very much at all to make society safer, as opposed to being a big kind of gesture that makes people feel like something's being done. The principled concerns really are to do with the notion that this is, as I say, a big step that we're talking about detaining people on the basis of crimes they have not and may never actually commit. There's also a concern that this is, we are told, supposed to be a last resort, to be used only as the kind of, if you like, nuclear option in relation to the absolutely most dangerous and least manageable offenders. But some of the reports we've heard from Australia have suggested that it's very easy for this to suddenly start kind of bleeding out and applying to an awful lot more people who just might be a bit dangerous. So I think we'll have to be very vigilant to make sure that it does in fact only apply to the 1 or 2 people a year that we're told will be captured by it.
It's a wait and see scenario, isn't it?
So watch very closely, yeah.
Absolutely. Associate Professor Colin Gavaghan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.